This team is going to be the death of us, isn't it? Wow. I can't believe that they got swept in Miami. But I actually wanted to bring up the point, our topic today, our title. Are the 2025 Yankees dead following a nightmare sweep in Miami? Now, yesterday, I went out on a limb, not really defending the Yankees, but just kind of saying they aren't right now what they're going to be in October. Well, if they keep this up, they won't get to October. But I was thinking about it, and I'm not backing down on what I said because I'm still kind of like, all right, well, let's see what they do against Texas, right? This was terrible, but let's see what they do against Texas. Gary, it does make you wonder. It is in the back of my mind. Like Drew actually said in our comments section, he said they were going to win 10 of their next 12. And not putting Drew on the spot, but the point being was...
That's already wrong.
Drew said that this loss on Friday, right, was good for them. And I understand where he was coming from in a sense. But my thing is that sometimes you have a loss where you could just look at it in a positive way, or you can just forget about it. The Yankees are not only going to have to prove to me, because we've talked about they're very talented, they're not going to have to prove to me how good of a team they are. They're going to have to prove to me that they didn't just die on Friday and we're not overlooking that. Because honestly, a loss like that can absolutely cripple you. And it can really cripple you when you don't have an elite coach. And we all would say that Aaron Boone is not an elite manager. And it can really cripple you when Aaron Judge isn't currently on the roster, right? And I just feel like it was almost they lost that game and they've been dead the last two games. I mean, today, how many hits they have? Like, I know they got going at the end a little bit. They had 6 hits. They had 2 hits from the majority of this game. So the same amount of hits they had all yesterday. I'm not going to, just absolutely dunk on Luis Heel. This is his first game back. He hasn't pitched since Game 4 of the World Series. So you won't catch me saying he was atrocious. He's awful. They should have traded him for Kyle Tucker. I know some people might say that.
They should have.
It has nothing to do with his performance today, though, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's fair.
But what I will say is this team is ungodly frustrating right now. I understand why people are frustrated. I'm still not going to change what I said yesterday. And what I said yesterday is very simply put, I'm going to let this team show me who they are. I'm not going to make a blanket statement off of a, mind you, very frustrating series. But I do have it in the back of my head, Gary. Friday, that game could have been massive just to be able to come back and win in a game that they should have never had to come back and win in. They should have dominated. It could have been massive for their confidence. But the idea that they lose a game like that, I feel like we kind of glossed over it. That can be an absolute killer. The momentum was there. You just won 3 straight. And to lose like that, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that was a nail in the coffin. But I'm not willing to say that right now they're completely dead.
Yeah, so I'm going to start off, obviously, by thanking Kieran for becoming a Yankees Unloaded member. And
Yes,
Jeff J., I
thank you.
want to read this before I really respond here to what I'm watching, right? And you're watching the same thing we're watching, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So Jeff J with the 5, obviously a member here. Thank you, Jeff, for the 5. Thank you for supporting this channel. Says, nope, they will rebound, but this team is destined for failure as long as cupcake-making, child player, coddling, baboon is in charge of this team. So really what Jeff is getting at is that we may be losing a bunch of regular season games right now, right? We've lost 3 in a row. We've won 4 games our last 10. We are now 4.5 games back. Boston is actually separating themselves in second place from us, okay? Now, mind you, we've given Boston a ton of credit as far as the talent goes coming into the year, but by no means did we think it's acceptable for the Yankees to be sitting in 3rd place in August. So this is going to be my opinion on the Yankees team. I think when people say, well, this team isn't going to win the World Series or they're not really going to be a threat for it, I don't think it has anything to do with technicalities, what they technically can do. I don't think it's that. I just think it's what is probable, right? Can we make a prediction as to what's more likely than not? Well, I'll tell you what. Is it likely? How likely is it that the Yankees are going to turn this around to the point where they win this division 4.5 games back? It's not like we're sitting here, I don't know, 35-38 on the season, where there's more season ahead of us than's behind us. I think if we're at that stage, certainly I'd be saying we should raise some red flags here. But to draw a conclusion, maybe not. We're talking about we've played almost 110 games on the season. We don't have very much time left. Aaron Boone, after the game, Jake, you're the one who actually brought this quote to me. I'll paraphrase it. He said, well, it's getting late. It's basically put up or shut up time is how I'll paraphrase it. Now's the time where anything we tell you guys is really empty until we do it. That's him admitting it is late. It's August. And when the Yankees go out and have a June swoon, then they go out, play July baseball, it's horrible. They say, well, who cares about June? We're playing good ball now. And then people kind of back off. Jake, this Yankees team, I'm afraid, is... I find it unacceptable to even get to this point. That's my take on it. I don't even think I should accept it if we just float, make a wild card, and then find ourselves in a championship series. This is just not good enough baseball for me to watch of the Yankees in August. That's my perspective. This is just not worth keeping anybody's job. Nobody's worth keeping. Nobody. And mind you, I watched Jazz Chisholm hit a home run today, and there were people saying, see, that's why you don't bench him due to what he did yesterday, right? We had A-Rod, Jeter weighing in on these plays, and people said, well, if you bench him, you don't get his performance tomorrow. And they watch the home run and say, see?
That was his first home run since the All-Star break. I might have been second, but the point stands. It wasn't about yesterday or today. It was literally about setting the tone. We're not going to have this shit. That's all it was.
You cannot learn from something. If you can show up 2 hours late to work and then say, hey, that's unacceptable, and then you're allowed to just show up the very next day, and then you're like, oh, he was a key contributor the next day, so I'm really glad I didn't fire that employee. No, but by firing that employee, the other employees say, oh, hold on a second. If I behave in that way, now again, I don't want Jazz Chisholm just traded off the roster or sent packing over this mistake. What I'm telling you guys is that there are ways to essentially buzz the fence.
Yeah.
And it's called coaching. It's called accountability. Anytime you watch a player like Jazz, who, by the way, I've never seen that. I'm 31 years old, and I know for a fact, there are people who watch more baseball than I could ever dream of, right? Just sheer experience in our audience today, right now, Jake. And they've never seen a play like that. Who gets thrown out at first base on a pop-up a second? Nobody. I didn't even do it in Little League. And so the point here, we're not going to go into yesterday. It's more so about this team. If you watched this baseball game, would you have known it was August? Would you have actually been able to tell based on the energy of the game, by the way that players are moving around the field? Did you feel August baseball? Did you? I'm talking to you, the audience. Did you guys actually watch this game? Did you feel like, oh, the Yankees may have had the switch off, but this seems like a game it's on? Did you feel that? Did that pop off the screen? Of course you didn't. Of course not. I'll draw the conclusion for you. Of course you didn't. I didn't. Jake didn't. And so now, Jake, again, I'm not going to defend your statement. It's yours. Mm-hmm. You're saying you guys could either be the worst thing I've ever seen and you should just be fired for it, or if it's something good and you're just going to turn it on late, then show me, don't tell me, right? Which is kind of what Boone is doing. I'm saying I don't care what it is they do the rest of the way. I don't want to see it again. Is that fair to say now that I don't want to watch uninspiring baseball for 5 months and then have a team answer questions all year as to why they're not ready to play and then flip the switch 1 month before the playoffs? Is that good enough baseball for the Yankees? For me, Jake, I'm going to answer it. No questions asked. It is a no.
Yeah, I get it. And honestly, I'm in a weird spot where I don't really care what they do moving forward. Because I do think they're going to turn it around because they have the talent to, and they're going to have an easier schedule moving forward. I don't care if they fire Boone tomorrow. And I'm not calling for a dude's job to, I'm not calling for a dude to lose his job. I'm not. But I wouldn't care. You know what I mean? Like, not like, obviously we would go live and we talk about it. It'd be the biggest video we've ever had. Ever.
Would you ever call for somebody's job?
Well, I have.
And what would be something that Boone's currently not doing where you'd say, okay, that is worth losing your job? Like, what is it that he could have been doing in 2025 that you'd say, okay, he's doing that, so I'll give him a pass? Is there something that he's doing? Because just from my perspective, I'm curious, like, there have been people in your past that you said, hey, that guy right there, he's either lost the clubhouse, he's not getting consistent effort, and you cover football as well. You've seen it, right? Yeah. You've seen defenses quit on a coordinator. You've seen offensive coordinators just not be able to fool people, right? And so you'll say, hey, that guy is worthy of losing his job. What were those managers or coaches in general doing that Boone is evading to keep his job?
Well, and it's a different position, and I'm aware of that because the Yankees have an advantage because they get to spend a lot of money, and other teams don't have that payroll. And obviously they could. Like, let's not act like, was it Bob Nutting? Let's not act like the Pirates can't spend this money. He just doesn't want to, right? So I'm not trying to say like the Yankees have this unfair advantage, but I'm saying Boone has this unfair advantage in a way because he gets to be a part of this roster. He gets to coach this roster. And I understand they're not putting a true $300 million into it, but they're putting at least 200, 250, right? And so that to me, like, I'm aware that he has that advantage. But at the same time, like, it's not like he is doing anything different than, say, like a Joe Girardi. Obviously, he didn't win a World Series, but if you look, they're getting to the playoffs. They're winning games. He's won a lot of games. It's the same thing with Joe Girardi, and I'm sitting here saying I'd probably rather have Joe Girardi as the manager. I just don't think in baseball, right? I don't think there are that many fantastic managers out there that you 100% are like, I need that guy. I would fire my guy today. I don't care if he's done right or wrong. I need that guy. My thing is, I just don't like the whole analytical approach. And I don't even know how much that's Boone. I don't know how much that's Fishman. This Fishman guy should not be with the organization. I'll tell you that right now. I don't like anything about their analytics department. I have been open and honest about that. I don't get it at all. But I think for me, Gary, you asked, like, what would it take? If Boone wasn't playing, like, Ben Rice at all, right? He was totally neglecting Ben Rice. He's not playing Jason Dominguez. He's not getting these guys involved. He's wasting the bullpen, right? And he had a good bullpen and just wasn't utilizing it correctly. He's he's basically overprotective of the starters. And I mean, to a degree, you could argue that, but I mean, say they were, getting taken out after throwing 80 pitches every time or something. Like, okay, fine. And if the Yankees were below 500 right now, I'd be okay with it, honestly. And that's really what it comes down to. If they're 9 games right now, if they had lost 9 games more than they have right now, I'd be all for it. But,
so the $300 million roster has to be below 500 to fire their manager?
In the middle of the season, because what are you doing when you fire your manager? Well, now it's going to be Brad Ausmus, who's exactly the same. But it goes back to what I'm saying, okay? I don't really care. If they do fire him tomorrow and it's Brad Ausmus, I can't really sit here and be like, wow, I'm really sad. Aaron Boone's gone. I'm not really going to feel one way or the other because I'm not going to get, jumping for joy over Brad Ausmus. The idea, though, and this is what we would pitch if we went live, because we would have a record-breaker show. You already know that. The day he gets fired, we will have a record-breaking show. And you and I would say it like this. If it happened during the middle of the year, we would be like, maybe this lights a fire in them. Maybe this is what they needed. Doesn't even matter that Brad Ausmus is the manager. So from that perspective, because I try to see all sides of it, right, Gary? From that perspective, I can understand it. And we've talked about before, the NHL has a lot of this. Like in the middle of the season, you'll fire your coach, you'll get another one, and that coach will take them to like the Stanley Cup final. And it happens. So I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but it's also, and I'm not saying Brian Cashman went out and got Mason Miller and Duran and just absolutely created this ungodly super bullpen and also went out and got Jose Ramirez. But at some point or another, when you do make moves to get 7 different players, you gave up a lot of, not a lot, but you gave up guys in the farm that you liked. I'm sure Brian Cashman is not going to be okay with this. He already told us. Without telling us, he already told us. They don't trade for rentals like that. They don't go out and get Bednar. They don't go out and get any of those guys if they truly didn't believe that they could compete. So Brian Cashman...
was Bednar a rental?
No, but I'm saying that the point being is that they did all this stuff, or Cashman did all this stuff at the deadline, even when they were losing, probably feeling like, I feel good about this team. We just got to fix the bullpen and everything. And now if Boone can't get on the high side and they can't start winning games and they're losing every series or they're getting swept, they get swept against Texas. I mean, think about that. They get swept against Texas. Now they're 60-55. It's the worst record they've been all year. And if that happens, right, now you're 5 games away from being 500. Like, I'm not saying he's going to get fired in the middle of the year, but I don't think I'd be shocked because, again, Brian Cashman went out of his way to go and get guys at the deadline, despite the fact, Gary, and you brought this up, what if they're not even worth investing in? They're not winning games right now. They're struggling. And he said, you know what? Doesn't matter. We're going to go out. We're going to fix the bullpen. We're going to give our manager a chance. If you give your manager a chance and then out of the trade deadline, you get swept twice and then you continue to lose and it honestly looks worse than it did. Well, that could lead to a firing. So I don't know. But Gary, a lot of these, and it's a lot of new faces I see in the comments, and I appreciate you being here, but a lot of people think I have like this affinity for Aaron Boone. Like, you can tell them. I've been honest all year. I'm firing Aaron Boone if he doesn't make it to the World Series. That's always been, I've never backed from that. That's always been, my thing. If he can't match what he did last year, I let him go.
Yeah, and first and foremost, Richmond, thank you. Richmond B for becoming a Yankees Unloaded member. Thank you for being here. I'm essentially, you mentioned when I asked you the question, and I thought you answered it. You mentioned that, okay, if Ben Rice just couldn't find his way on the field, if we were below 500, you also said that if we don't make it to a World Series, he also should be fired. Do we see how much has to happen to lose your job as the manager of the team that is supposed to have the highest expectations of any team in the league? That's higher expectations than the Dodgers. And I'm not talking about expectations of what a Padres fan thinks of what the Yankees should be doing. No, Padres fans are not worried about the Yankees because the Yankees haven't won a World Series in 16 years. No one's worried about us. Okay, we're not on people's mind. You get on people's mind by winning, and it's just that simple, right? The Dodgers should have lost to, right? According to Mookie Betts, we should have lost to San Diego last year. Well, if San Diego wins the World Series, more people are worried about them. So what I'm getting at here, Jake, is that he's got to play below 500 baseball. He's got to have a player in Ben Rice. That's the player you use. And I would agree. You said if he wasn't really finding the field at all. Is Ben Rice better than Austin Wells at baseball?
Yes.
Of course he is. So why doesn't he catch every day? The answer is we don't know. We have no idea why he doesn't catch.
I can assume it's not his natural position, right? They look at him as a first baseman, and it's more wear and tear. That's what I would assume that's what it is.
Is he better? For sure. Is he better than Paul Goldschmidt against right-handed pitching?
Absolutely.
So why is it that Austin Wells and Paul Goldschmidt against right-handed arms, more times than not, we're talking the majority of games against a righty, Ben Rice is not playing. Ben Rice is not playing. There were a ton of games this year where we saw a right-handed arm and Ben Rice was DHing. And why was he even playing? Because Giancarlo Stanton was hurt. It's the only reason he was playing. And people think this is good enough. So when you said, okay, if he just is not going to play the right players who deserve to play, they're just not going to get onto the field. I've seen that. I've watched it. I've seen players pitch well, right? You mentioned Brubaker. Obviously today he gave up a run, but we've mentioned that, Brubaker is actually starting to show us something. He's actually showing us a trend of something positive. And I agreed with that. And guess who wasn't? Jonathan Loaizaga, who's obviously on the Phantom IL right now. Mm-hmm. And he finds himself on the mound no matter what. So we're utilizing players who are poor performing consistently. We've got players who certainly haven't gotten over the top. It's not like Ben Rice is hitting 310 and not playing. But the analytics show, and we try to utilize analytics, but we're not married to them. Ben Rice is a better baseball player than Austin Wells. Does anyone need me to use analytics to prove it? Watch the game. And so when we sit up here and see every day, okay, who's starting at catcher? Who's starting at first base? The answers don't make consistent sense. And so that's why I say, and again, it brings the point of Alex Rodriguez back to the surface, which is that there are too many things going on with this team. They're changing. There's a new person at first base one day. The next day, they're overhauling their bullpen. The next day, their catcher's got a nerve issue, so that's why he's off the field. And then all of a sudden, you think, there's a clear solution to that problem. Ben Rice. And guess what you don't see? Ben Rice. You don't see it. It's in some other way, a designated hitter. And if I had asked you before the game, hey, Jake, how do you think we would have deployed our talent? You would have given me an answer, and I probably would have agreed with everything you said. Right? I would have agreed with who you put at catcher. You've been clamoring for Ben Rice to catch. Yes. Clamoring for it every day. Right? You said Austin Wells, and you were high on Austin Wells, and I somewhat bought onto that process. The numbers suggested that you were right about August and certain months. All of it made sense. But after you watch 6 months of baseball, and you say, all right, this guy's better than these two guys. The team is in third place. Boston deserves credit. Toronto deserves credit. They don't have as much talent as we have. They have better coaching. They have better third base coach, first base coaches. They have better base running. We've talked about it. We've covered it. And so if you look at a team in your division and you can say, and let's just talk about Toronto real quick here before I kick it back to you and then we'll get to our supers. If we look at Toronto, who are trying to run down, and now Boston deserves that same respect. Both of those teams run the bases better than we do. Both of those teams make less mental mistakes than we do. They don't have as much talent in the rotation as we do. They're not spending as much money, nearly as much money as we do, right? None of them have Aaron Judge. Does Toronto have Aaron Judge and I just haven't seen him?
No.
Of course not, right? What is going on with the New York Yankees? Somebody, and I don't care really if it's Aaron Boone or not, someone should be held accountable. And it's not assistants. It's not Rojas. If Rojas is out of our roster, all of a sudden now, Rojas is no longer in the organization at third base to wave guys around and get hosed every other week. And now that's going to be the changing of the situation.
No,
it's
more
not.
Than that.
It's something much deeper than that.
I should kind of explain what I meant by I don't care. Like, I'm not defending him for his job right now. I'm not calling for it. But if they fired him tomorrow, that's what I mean. It's like, I'm at the point where if they wanted to make a change, I wouldn't be defending Boone. Because...
Is it okay if I call for it?
Yeah, there's nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong with you if you personally feel like that's what you need to do on the show. It's your platform. It's our platform.
Yeah.
But I say my piece, you say yours.
Yeah, definitely.
I have zero issue. I called for Jeff Fisher's job with the Rams. I thought it was a bad idea.
So you feel like this is more of a deployment of who plays and who's not for you. If we twinkle towards 500, would you also say? Because obviously I'm just trying to find the disparity, which is fine. Like, we don't have to agree. That's perfectly fine.
But I'm kind of in agreement with you because I'm not necessarily, and that's the thing. Like, I'm not calling for his job, right? Because it's like, I don't know, like, how, whatever, but I'm not against it. So what I'm saying is basically there's like the clamps are off. Like, you have to protect yourself, Boone. You have to win on your own. I'm not defending you. I defended you when you didn't have a bullpen. Now you have a bullpen, you know? And I understand it's early, right? Since the trade deadline. Like, it's barely been since the trade deadline. My biggest thing, Gary, is in August, you know how I always kind of like shit on managers because I think most of them are just mid anyway. And
yeah, you've definitely talked about it.
Yes.
Seems like, and I would agree with you, managers probably do less today than they've ever done. They say they do more. They say they do more because they have to consider analytics. I think other people are making choices and they're just not telling us.
Yeah, well, this is when you have to. This is when you actually know how good your manager is. Like, it's up to Boone for him to turn this shit around because essentially what we're watching, right? And this is why, again, not actively calling for his job, but not against him getting fired either, which puts me in a different position than I was, say, a week ago, right? The point being is that this point in the season, like, yeah, at the beginning of the year when you won 8 straight series and things were good, you look good. Like, you didn't have to do as much. It was like the team coached itself.
And we also talked about the good things Boone was doing.
Defensive alignment was better.
Right.
I also hate the way they align their defense. I don't know who's in charge of that. They should be fired. Awful. I don't think Boone actually
John Boy
does
agrees.
it.
Yes.
Awful. It's been that way like for a long time. But anyway, point being, we were talking about them. They were in the top 7 in defense. They weren't making errors like crazy. Volpe looked fine. Then all of a sudden, Volpe goes off the rails. Now they're making stupid errors. They're making stupid base running mistakes. And it seems like right after that Red Sox series, you know, when they got swept in Boston, it just feels like since then, it's been, all right, Boone, you got to step up to the plate. And some people would go and say, well, that's about the time when Giancarlo Stanton came back and DJ LeMahieu came back. Did that maybe disrupt the chemistry they had? And I would say, no, but I understand, and I think it's fair to bring up when they inserted Giancarlo back in the lineup. Now Ben Rice is an everyday player. You started to see him kind of fall off a little bit, especially playing time-wise. And there were other things, right? You had to start kind of mixing and matching. Why is Dominguez not in the lineup? Things like that. But I don't think that's entirely what's happening. I think what's happening is that these fundamentals and everything, right? They were a big focal point, I believe, in spring training. And they came out of spring training showing you that. Much improved defense. But I think over the course of the year, I don't think it's being worked on the same way it was right after the World Series. After the World Series, it's fresh, ingrained in your brain, and that's that.
Kind of reminds me of us being on probation. You ever seen that when someone's on probation for their grades? Hey, you're on probation. You're a student athlete.
Model student now.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
Your coach brings you in. Hey, Gary, I want to talk with you. You've got a D in English. You got an F in math. You're on probation. And probation is essentially, I need to have my eyes on you for the foreseeable future. And then when I think you can handle it, you've got a C in both those classes at least, then I'll let you screw off and then you can go your merry way. I won't talk to you again until it becomes a problem again, right? Probation. The Yankees right now, in my opinion, during the first 2 months, we were on our best behavior. We embarrassed ourselves. We essentially showed our asses on national television in the World Series, right? It's a 5-game series, short series. The Dodgers didn't play that well. We played that bad. That bad. And the Yankees said, well, the way we lost, we can't catch fly balls in center, Judge's out of position. We don't trust Heel, right? Rizzo, we don't know who's covering the bag. Garrett Cole's not going to run to first base. We're bringing in starters in relief. We're all making mistakes, mental errors. The Yankees came into 2025 and said, our number one thing we want to fix is the mental mistakes. We want to bring in players who can help us. We're going to let Gleyber Torres go because we think he's part of that problem. It's the talent. It's not me, Aaron Boone. It's not the leadership. It's those guys. Okay. They start the year. And you mentioned it was much better, more fundamental. They're winning games. You don't win a ton of games when you're not fundamental at all, right? You're not that talented. This team's not that talented. They were showing we can be fundamental. But then the majority of the season, they got off probation. Everyone stopped paying attention to the fundamentals. Oh, it's no longer a problem. We can look at the offense. Oh, the offense is one of the top in the league. But our pitching, we could use more. Maybe another starting pitcher, relief, whatever have you. We started talking about those other things, the X's and O's. And then what happened 2 months later? We started losing games and we started asking, why is this happening? And really, if you're being honest, it's the exact reason we were on probation in the first place. Fundamentals. That's why this team sucks. This team is horrible. Not a good baseball team to watch. And the reason for that is not because Jazz is at second base or McMahon is over at third base or Dominguez is in left. It's not that. It is that they don't have any accountability, so none of them learn from any mistakes. So they're bound to repeat them more than any other team in the league. So this team, unfortunately, is just a team that they're like a pack of goldfish, really. They're just going to do the same thing all day, swim around in circles. Occasionally they may surprise you with something, but the reality is their identity is just not a smart baseball team. And I want to get to this super chat from Cashmere Black with the 5. Thank you. It says, unlike basketball, and that's funny because I literally was using basketball terminology today describing this team. Football and baseball are two of the sports where you can have a talented team and be bad or average. So I have heard, and I'm curious to know what you think about this because Aaron Judge is not here, right? He's just not. Hurts the elbow. He's likely to show up. They're going to start his throwing program here very shortly, but he's likely to show up as a DH back to the field, at least in 2025.
On Tuesday, yeah.
And people said, if Judge isn't here, the Yankees don't win. Is that an acceptable takeaway for any team? Not just the Yankees. I'm not saying, is Judge just not, should he not be that important? He should be. Mm-hmm. But if the Dodgers, say, lost Shohei Ohtani's DH role, right? If they lost, say, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts has been a shell of himself this year, right? Is that going to be the reason that they say, oh, the reason we're not great is because we were carried by Freddie Freeman? I've never seen one person post that this year. Never once. We're the only team where one player gets hurt. You'd think Michael Jordan got hurt in a sport with 4 other people on the court. That's what you would think. But we've got a team of 9 dudes, 26 guys on the roster. And Jake, you cover football. There's about 500 people sitting on the sidelines. And you mean to tell me that if the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, all of a sudden, I don't know, their left guard's gone, if Saquon Barkley is hurt for 2 quarters, they can't move? What does it tell you about your team? It tells you you haven't built a team around this player or a system around this player that will work consistently. Aaron Judge shouldn't have to be on the field for the team to play above 500 baseball. Are you kidding me? So I just think, what did you think about this, Super?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And the whole football thing, I've been saying, I learned it probably about 6 years ago. It really was ingrained in my brain. The NFL does not, normally the best team doesn't win the Super Bowl. They just don't. The best team normally doesn't win the Super Bowl. And we're talking talent, all of that. But what team does win the Super Bowl? It's the best team left standing. Everybody goes through injuries. It's the most dangerous sport by far. Everyone goes through injuries. But, I mean, you've had crazy stories about backup quarterbacks winning. I mean, Nick Foles. You just talked about the Eagles. Nick Foles had to take over for Carson Wentz. Those are the teams that win it. And in baseball, you know, we bring up all the time because it's forever the greatest example ever. Ronald Acuna Jr., the superstar, goes down. and the Braves still find a way to win it all.
How'd they do that, by the way?
Managing.
Interesting. So the Yankees can't win because Judge has to be superhero, right? He's got to be superhero. But then those same people who tell me that, exact same people, will say Aaron Judge is one of the worst players in October. That's their opinion, right? And by the way, I'm not here to just be on the opposite side of the fence. Aaron Judge doesn't play like Aaron Judge in October. He just hasn't so far. And we predicted eventually he will. He'll have his A-Rod 2009 season. It's just a matter of time. But having said all of this, if the guy that you're going to hold on to, he's going to drag you on his cape the whole year, and then you guys are going to have the audacity as a group to say, oh, if he just plays better, we'll win. Are you joking me? How about you guys start pulling some rope? How about you start managing us to wins? How about we figure out how to use our bullpen? Who to use, who not to? How about we figure out Ben Rice should just catch every day because we don't have that great of a catcher in front of him? How about these things? How about you go get a starting pitcher to accommodate for a rotation? You just saw what Luis Gil looks like. Now, mind you, Luis Gil's not going to go out and get shelled and have an ERA of 19 the whole year. But the Luis Gil that you just saw, you're going to toss him the ball in game 3 of a championship series and expect success? You're foolish. You are. This is something that should have been on top of the addition that you made, but the Yankees had so many additions to make, Jake. It's not like they didn't make additions. Derek Jeter covered it. They made 8 different moves, and we're asking them to make a 9th.
Yeah.
It's something insane. And J-Dog, welcome in.
Exactly.
Go ahead,
J-Dog,
Jake.
appreciate you. Yeah, so I don't know if you know this. You probably have an idea. And this is why I don't like the whole, Judge argument. When I talk about Judge coming back, I'm like, they need something, right? Right now, it's not good. But I don't like the argument, and here's why. They're 18-27 since June 13th. Judge played all those games except for what, 5, 6 of them? So I don't like that argument at all, personally.
I agree with you.
And this, to me, and this is why, again, I'm not calling for Boone's job, but I'm also not defending Boone any longer. I mean, during this time, this is when a manager has to pick you up. And these are grown men as well. So obviously these guys need to play better. But 18-27 since June 13th, it's like it hasn't really gotten better. You haven't seen... Finally, I was just saying... the Rays series against a bad Rays team right now, a team that was weird. Like, I guess they bought at the deadline, but they're also trying to sell. Weird. I don't know.
Did you see, by the way, what Jazz said?
What'd he say?
So I'm not talking about today, but we went on for an hour discussing yesterday about about what. Yeah,
He'd
and
do it
so
again.
Can you believe it? So when our audience sits here and says,
believe it. I can.
You can believe it, right? Now, why can you believe it?
Because I just don't, like, you can tell when these guys get, like, and this is why I just don't even care about these interviews, and I always maintain that. When the cameras get in these guys' faces, they are literally taught to say one thing. Now, Jazz will sometimes go off the cuff a little bit, but he's just like, yeah, I would do it again. And the point being is that he's wrong, right? But he thinks in his mind that next time will be a different result.
Would he say the same thing if another manager was there?
Maybe, but would the other manager bench him? Probably. And honestly, like I remember Bill Belichick, again, different sport, I'm aware of it, but Bill Belichick used to bench players based on how they answered to the media.
They're giving
not
you
even
snippets.
on the field.
The majority of what they say is because of what you've projected. You're the manager, so we're just going to spew out what we think you want us to say. But every once in a while, they'll say something that's them. Every once in a while. You can't read into everything. But when Jazz Chisholm comes up and they say, very simple question, by the way, softball question. Hey, Jazz, mind you, the entire audience is saying that was the dumbest base running mistake I've ever seen. He knows that walking off the field. And he gets into the post game. They're like, would you do anything differently? And he said, I was thinking that if he dropped the ball, that I would have to get to second base. Hey, Jazz, you were never going to make it. You know this. You don't need me to explain it to you. You play professional baseball. So now that excuse is just gone and done with, we said, would you do anything differently? What else would you do differently? He says, no, I wouldn't do it differently. No. So if someone tells you, hey, Gary, you were 50 minutes late to work. What are we going to do differently next time? That's your boss telling you, hey, don't do that again. And I said, maybe I'll set my alarm. Nah, I'd probably just do it the same way. See you tomorrow, 50 minutes late. It'll just be different. That's why you guys get these results consistently, which is why when people ask me what I would do in this situation, I could not care less about how good of a dude Aaron Boone is, how much he's a player's manager. Fired. If players tell you, hey, I know I made a huge mistake out there, wouldn't change it. Wouldn't even change it. And then you have former players. Derek Jeter's how old is Derek? Almost 50 years old. And he's sitting there saying something has to change. He's more adamant about it than players in the locker room.
Yeah. Yeah,
fired.
I mean, it's so
gone.
It's so frustrating because it feels like even when they get going, they don't get going. They can't get past the 3-game win streak. And 18-27, like I said, since June 13th, it's kind of showing that like Boone doesn't really have control of this. And so I get it. Like, you know, I'm not defending it. I think
he's either not smart or he's not led. One or the other, and someone can tell me which it is.
Back to the Judge thing, right?
Sure.
So it was not last year, but 2023. They lose Aaron Judge. And we kind of gave Boone a pass. I think a lot of people gave Boone a pass because, you lose your best player. But I feel, and this is actually kind of my point. 2025, I feel like their roster's too good to even be this close to 500. 2023, I felt like that was on Cashman. I didn't like that team. I did not like the way it was made up.
We agree with that. The Josh Donaldson year.
So I don't look at it as it's a cop-out for Boone. I just think Boone was coaching with a team that wasn't up to the level, even with Judge Gary. That team should have gotten Cashman fired. That was the worst constructed Yankees team that we've seen in a long time.
It was poor.
And you actually, I think this was the year he goes down with the injury, and you go on MLB Network and you say, well, if your team loses one player and they're that bad after losing one player, what does that tell you about your team?
Oh, you remember me saying that? Yeah, I didn't realize you were going to remember. It's exactly what I said.
Friends, I think, at that point.
We knew each other, and that was what I said. I said, and mind you, the people at MLB Network brought me on there thinking I was going to say the same old BS. Well, that tells you how important Judgy is. Can't wait to have him back. It goes to show you how important of a player. That's the softball garbage ass answer they wanted me to give you guys. And I didn't give it to them. I simply said, and I'm not going to go out here and try to embarrass MLB Network, but I'm going to give you guys a real answer of what I think, no matter where I am. Aaron Judge, I don't care how good he is at baseball. He's not good enough to make a team. If he's good enough to make a team a World Series contender, but he's not on the field and now they're below 500 team, that's the reasoning you're going to give to why the team is performing as bad as it is, because Judge is not out there right now. Judge, as you brought up, Jake, has been playing the whole year. And we've been
he wasn't
below
playing
par
well before he got hurt either.
Right. So he had to hit 440, which he was doing for a while. We were on the 400 hunt. He has to hit 440 for the team to win, and Paul Goldschmidt also was hitting 400. That's what you had to have.
There you go. Their two best hitters started falling off, and Judge, it wasn't the injury. It's a lot of people don't want to admit it because Judge will hit a home run, and you actually brought this up, I think 2 days ago or yesterday, I forget. But you said, you know what, Jake, I'm not done with ops, but I don't see it as valuable as I initially thought. And I was like, why is that? And you're like, you know how Anthony Volpe has like this? And I was like, yeah, like his on base isn't very good. Yeah, he's got a 7-12 ops because he just hits home runs. It's like, so now he's an above average player because he just hits home runs, according to OPS.
according to OPS.
Yeah. So I like OPS, but I understand where you're coming from. On base percentage is probably the most important because, like, how often are you getting on base? Can't score when you're not on base. Can't score when you're not at the dish, right? So you got to be able to get up there and get on base. And Judge, while he still gets on base, Judge before he got hurt, and maybe it was because he was playing injured. I don't want to make excuses for him, but he was like the thing that we were talking about at the beginning of the year about how, he would normally whiff on that, but now he's serving that into right field. And it's just, he's fine with the single, right? He's fine with the double. He's not trying to hit home runs. You started to see, and I think it was around Cal Raleigh getting to like 39 or 40 home runs. You really started to notice Judge was, I think, kind of buying in a little bit into this home run, this home run chase, if you will. And
which is so silly. Could you imagine if he really gave a rip about the home run chase or a triple crown, given the fact that if the Yankees won the World Series, how much him personally, how much Judge would have to gain if we became a winner? Could you imagine caring about the home run chase?
I don't think he's sitting there like, I got to beat Cal Raleigh. I think it's just in his head at the plate where it's like, I want a home run here. Or I want, and you can kind of see it. I mean, you can tell, and this happens with Stanton a little bit. He's gotten a lot better with it this year, but you can tell when they're pitching around him. And then he expands the zone, and now they're like, okay, well, if he's going to play it that way, go right after him.
When we were actually going to give him first. Like the single to right may be all I can do here. He takes that slider off the plate. Now, mind you, we're not going to pick apart his approach right now. He's not on the field. He's not really a part of this mess, so we get that guy.
But it's not just him. You just mentioned Paul Goldschmidt, who actually the only one that might be worse at the plate than Austin Wells right now is Paul Goldschmidt. I got tagged in, let's see, I'm going to bring this up because it was good. Where was it?
After you do this, we got to catch up on our supers.
Yes, we do.
We appreciate you guys. Thank you guys a ton.
Was it Scott Ross that sent it to me?
It was. I think it was Scott.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it was Scott. Paul Goldschmidt from March 28th to June 1st. Interesting. June 1st is before they started falling off a cliff. Remember that. 234 plate appearances, 340 batting average, a 395 on base, a 495 slugging, and I don't care about our WRC plus. They can go scratch their ass with that. I hate that stat.
Yeah.
So anyway, terrible. The point being, he's slashing to all hell. Okay, guy's not hitting home runs. He still has an almost not. I think he had over a 900, close to 900 OPS. Paul Goldschmidt from June 1st to August 2nd, 179 plate appearances, 201, a 260 on base, and a 305 slugging.
Didn't we say that when it warms up, the bats are going to warm up? Isn't that exactly what we say every year?
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened to him last year. Like, literally, Paul Goldschmidt is having the inverse of what he did last year. It's absolutely bizarre. Paul Goldschmidt has turned into a bona fide Alex Verdugo. Just like that.
Yeah, but he also, in the exact same situation, in the exact same fashion, he plays every day. So this kind of goes back to my conclusion. I don't like who plays and why. I don't like it. There are a lot of people who push it on me.
Paul Goldschmidt pinch hit today for Ben Rice.
Can you? I shouldn't even. I almost vomited. Can you believe it? Onto the microphone. Of course you can believe it. Of course, every person who's listening to our podcast today, they can believe it. Why can you believe it? Well, because they're smarter than we are. That's what they tell you. Yeah, you guys might want a different manager who might make a different decision. But Jake, to me, it's despicable. I want to move on, though, to our supers. Jeff J., thank you so much, of course, for supporting our channel. Says, Jeff with the 20, again, thank you. Says, did you hear Jeter's comments? And obviously we did touch on it, but we'll kind of hone in on it here. A-Rods. There is a fundamental leadership problem. My 11-year-old had a cleaner travel ball practice today than this team. Play sound baseball, win or lose. I got your back. But this, nah. So I think the biggest problem, if we all had to just put it in a vacuum and say, what's your biggest issue with the Yankees? Rather than sitting here and picking at the details of why'd you pinch hit this guy for this guy, right? Why did you go with Brubaker over a Loaizaga? Or why did you pitch Loaizaga at all instead of this guy? Those are the details. But the biggest problem with the Yankees is fundamentals. It's the biggest problem. Are they lacking that much talent that they cannot, because that's possible, right? The Yankees made the choice. Gleyber Torres, very good player. So good that he made it to the All-Star game with the Detroit Tigers, right? Mm-hmm. Errors haven't been a problem. Mental mistakes haven't been a problem. His base running hasn't been a problem. Obviously, the offense is there. That's why he's at the All-Star game. And yet, the Yankees said, oh, no, it's personnel. It's not our system. And what we're learning, and I hope you guys learn this as an audience, and it took me time to get to this point, probably came to this conclusion at about 2022, is that it's us, not the players. It's not Jazz. So try and remove him from this ridiculously just lacking accountability, saying something stupid on the air. He doesn't know any better because no one's there to lead him. That's why. And it's not, oh, a player who's a leader is going to do it. It's your manager. It's your GM. It's your owner. You set the tone. And so when we talk about what Jeter said, as Jeff is obviously bringing up here, what Alex Rodriguez said, do you know why A-Rod and Jeter were so accountable? And I know this probably might sound like they did less than what they really did. Jeter did less because Jeter was a great leader. But you know what? There were a lot of times where Derek Jeter didn't do jack. When a lot of people said, we could use some leadership over there. A-Rod is being pummeled by the fan base. I think Derek should probably say something. Matter of fact, some of the players were saying, I feel like Jeter could definitely help welcome him into New York. And then you learn, oh, there was a little bit of a rift there. They've since amended that, right? They fixed that. But you can't lean on one player or another to fix your locker room, to fix accountability. It's the people over their head. And that's what people need to understand. The system in New York is poison. Poison. And that is essentially what I'm telling you. I don't even think if Boone was shipped out today, I don't even think you guys would see the results until you saw a wipe of this system. It's gross.
Yeah, and I mean, this also kind of stems from Hal and Brian Cashman. And again, Brian Cashman's off the hook for me for now because he did his job at the deadline. Now, I already criticized him for not doing what he did during free agency, but all he could do for this team and fix this team, he did at the deadline. And then we'll see September. That's when he has to make his next moves and everything. But and I got to give him credit for actually moving on from Stroman. In the past, they'd be like, no, we can't. $18 million. Why? You paid most of it already. It's August. It's brilliant to
that money's burnt.
Yeah.
Money's burnt already.
I always laughed at that. Do people think like the $18 million comes out at the end of the year? Like, no, he gets
even teams
checks.
Trading for him, to your point. I mean, he's only owed probably another $3.9. It's a lot of money to us, right? If someone super chatted $3.9 million, we'd probably have a holiday, but you guys get the point. It's not $18 million anymore.
No.
It's not. It's a great point. It is.
But I will say, when it comes to Hal's the one that decided, not George, Hal's the one that decided to move on from Girardi. They never actually fired Girardi. A lot of people don't realize that. They never fired Girardi. They just never offered him an extension.
Didn't renew those vows.
So, obviously, it kind of comes off as, it basically was a firing, but they didn't just say, you're bad at your job, bye-bye. Which kind of is a little concerning. And I get why people...
I was going to say, while you were talking, I was like, I don't even know if I like this.
I get why people are a little frustrated because Boone got an extension, and Does Hal even have the spine to fire his manager?
I feel like I'm going to die of old age. Like somehow, some way, Boone's just going to outlive me.
Antonella is going to be like doing Yankees Unloaded, and Boone will still be the manager.
I have a 13-month-old daughter. My daughter, if she can talk and say Boone should be fired, we've gone on such a long amount of time. I'm just going to pass off the podcast to her. It'll be Jake and Antonella. I can't do it. I can't do it. If my daughter can speak. So it just kind of goes to show you. Richmond B, thank you for the 5. Also recently became a member of ours. So Richmond, again, thank you for being here. Thank you for investing in this channel. Says, I feel like they have quit on Boone. This is interesting. This is interesting because this is now not so much of, poor leadership, but also maybe a difference in how the players, because this is a players coach, right? Players manager. They've used that term a lot. And by the way, I agree with that. He is a players manager. But when you get too friendly,
like Jeff Fisher, it's scaring me. The more we talk
did you hear the video when Jeff Fisher got fired and he was like, guys, I hate to let you know this, but I've been let go. And the whole room was like they were all gonna cry. And
that was sad.
Mind you, it was sad.
He's
but
with this
it's
dog
business.
like waving by and they're going on.
It's the business. But then you also see, right, Adams with the Jets where he's just locked out. Totally different mentalities. Completely different. Right? And so, Jake, I'm curious. I want to tee you up for this to answer this because I'll answer it right after you, but I'm curious to know, do you think this is just poor leadership? This team still loves Boone. The person, the manager, they're behind him 100%. They're not going to get on the mic and tell us we've quit. There's never been a team ever who said we quit on this guy. But it's all about the evidence that you see on the field. Do you think it's possible at least, or do you think in general that this team has quit on Aaron Boone?
I don't think they've quit on Aaron Boone. The problem I have with that is Friday did just happen. So I'm still waiting to see, and time will tell. Did Friday kill the Yankees losing that game? Because the fight I saw in that game, the offense to come back after they lost it, that doesn't happen. When you have a team that's at home that has all that momentum that came back from 6 down, 9-4, 10, 12-10, you find a way to then take the lead again. I was actually really impressed with the heart they showed in that. So that doesn't come off as a team that's quitting, but since they've looked dead in the water. So I need to see what they look like against Texas. I need to see what they look like when they come back to the stadium against Houston. It's not going to get easy. I mean, it will be easier because you do have the bad teams on the schedule. You give the White Sox still. But
you said the 4th easiest schedule? Remaining?
Yeah, it's the 4th easiest. But
I imagine it didn't get any easier. I mean, we just got swept by the Marlins, who are playing better baseball. They're around 500.
Yeah.
We're playing
going up against the
schedule.
Astros next with the Texas Rangers playing better ball, that's not the easy part of the schedule by any stretch.
Right.
And this is where you look and you're like, the Yankees, if they don't play their cards right, will be below 500 in 2 weeks. So that's the thing is that I don't know what they're going to come out like following this series, but what I will say is they've looked dead since Friday. And on Friday, they looked finally like a team okay, yeah, we don't have Judge, but we're all going to do our part. And the bullpen, the newcomers, screwed that game up, right? So, and also not going to give Rodon a pass. He was not good in that game. So, yeah.
He's been bad a while.
I don't think we have enough data to say the Yankees quit on Boone. But I will say if you've ever been at, a retail job or whatever, minimum wage job, and you like your boss, but maybe you don't like the direction your boss takes things, or maybe you don't agree with your boss, you're still doing your job. You have a job to do. You're a kid, you're young, and you're working minimum wage. So, hate to break it to you, that's as good as you got, right? You're not going to sit there and be like, well, I guess some people would literally quit or quiet quit, whatever.
I probably would. I've actually done so.
But
my mom can attest for that.
I get it. But yeah, so being at that job though, and say you need the job, and you like the boss as a person, but you don't actually feel like the boss is that good as a boss.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have the conversations with them and they'll, joke off or whatever, make like a funny comment or whatever, and you guys are having good conversations, that's fine. As soon as business steps up and now you're actually, having to work with this person, you realize, wow, this person's kind of a dick. I don't really like working with them. You still need the job though, right? So you're working. Even despite the fact that you don't like this person, you're still working. But do you feel like now I got to work 110%? Do you feel like now the emphasis on your day, you're excited? You don't get that excitement anymore, right? It's just, oh, it's a job. If anybody asked you how, the job's going, you'd be like, it's a job. Or
I just tell my buddy I quiet quit. I just stand in the corner. I go sit on the toilet and scroll TikTok for 45 minutes. And then someone comes and finds me in there. And then I come out and do the bare minimum, right? That's what you would do. You do the minimum, and then what's more likely? You're going to make mistakes.
What's even worse, though, is when you have to, and it almost seems like they're given a script. Like they all say the same thing, like, oh, yeah, we still got time. We're going to turn this around. And things are looking good. And it's like, it's almost like having a script from your boss in that scenario, right? Like where it's like, say the district manager comes in and she does like a secret shop or whatever. Mm-hmm. And you just have to tell her, oh, yeah, everything's great. Love it here. Like he's great boss. And, totally love everything about what's going on. But yeah, you really don't. And
were you tapped in, by the way, with managers, with what we were saying? So the players, I don't know if you were, maybe you were. Mm-hmm. But when we had Girardi, did you listen to post-game shows by chance?
Not really. I remember him because, Garrett, I'll be honest, I like Girardi a lot more now than I did back in the day because I always thought he mismanaged the bullpen. I didn't like the way he managed the bullpen. So, like, when people, I feel like there's a lot of revisionist history. I think Girardi and Boone managed the bullpen very similarly. My issue with Boone is I know he's doing it based on analytics. Girardi was doing it based on feel, and I think he'd micromanage, and it's the day-old thing or the year-old thing or two-year-old thing that I always bring up about the parlay. If you put in 4 homers, like say you have 4 guys to hit a home run, well, now there are more variables for you to actually not win your bet. If you would have won it if you only did 2. You would have won it if you only did 3. But now you've added a 4th, which, yes, you can win more, but you also can lose it all. And so I felt like same thing with Girardi, same thing with Boone. I've never liked how a Yankee manager, besides Torrey, I've never liked how a Yankee manager has managed their bullpen, ever.
Which is ironic because Scott Proctor would disagree. Scott Proctor would be like, Joe Torre blew my elbow off.
Yeah.
So, mind you, this is my conclusion. Here's my conclusion, all right? Mm-hmm. Every single manager, and that includes any manager anybody in our comments can come up with, whether it be Joe Madden. I've been reading the comments. I saw Joe Madden would be a great option for the Yankees, right? And Don Mattingly. Well, when Don Mattingly was in LA, people were complaining about his utilization of the bullpen. Joe Torre just ripped Scott Proctor's arm off the bone, right? Not a perfect manager, and also not a player's coach, right? So this isn't horrible. This is not bad to not be a player's coach. It's just a factor, right? The Yankees literally hired Boone because they wanted him to be a player's coach. So all of these managers, this is my conclusion, they're all flawed. Every single one of them.
Absolutely.
They all do something where you say, I would have done it a different way. Okay. But that doesn't mean you should lose your job. All that matters, you need to have a talented enough roster. You need to minimize mistakes. That includes your coaching staff, and you need to be accountable. You have to. You have to learn from all the mistakes that you make. You're not going to be perfect. The World Series winners won't be perfect. The Dodgers didn't play perfect baseball last year. They made mental mistakes if you watched enough of their baseball. But when it really mattered, they weren't going to let mental mistakes lose them a game when it matters. That's the conclusion. So I love that you brought up that Girardi was not this angel that we can just act like was the perfect manager and then we pass it off the baton to some dingaling. No. A flawed manager who was actually pretty good. I like Girardi personally, but did I think he was the best manager I've ever seen? No, he's not. I'm not sitting here acting like he's Phil Jackson, but there's just too many mistakes being made by a talented team. This team should be in first place. They're not because of how we manage the team. There I said it. Alex Reyes with the 2.
I have a hotter take.
Yeah, go ahead.
The best manager the Yankees have had, I don't know, in the last 30, 40 years, maybe ever. I genuinely believe it was Buck Showalter. I think Buck Showalter is the best manager the Yankees have ever had.
And I don't hate it at all. Now, Buck Showalter also flawed, and you would admit this.
Yeah.
Buck Showalter famously was coaching the Baltimore Orioles, leaves Zach Britton in the bullpen when everybody knew, oh, in this situation, do or die game, wild card, he should be pitching. Didn't pitch. Left him in the bullpen. They are sent packing. What was his explanation? Oh, I was saving him for a save situation. They blew the game in that inning. Everyone knew he should have pitched. Managers we love, that may be the best guy for the job, he's going to make mistakes. It's just about minimizing the mistakes, learning. And I love that, again, that you bring up Showalter, not a perfect guy by any stretch of your imagination. He's not even hired right now. And yet, he'd probably be better than what we have in the room. Alex Reyes with the 2, obviously a mod of ours. So, Alex, thank you for doing so, keeping the dinglings out of the chat, just wasting everybody's time. We keep the conversation on baseball, and you guys make that work. So thank you to all of our mods. You guys are incredible. Thank you again. Thank you for the 2. Says, love seeing A-Rod and Jeter being real with Boone. Our players never have any issue, Jake, holding players accountable. So gotta love that. And John with the 5 says, Baboon pulling Dominguez for that reject from the White Sox is unforgivable. I haven't heard reject in a while. So thank you, John, for bringing that one back. And this
Poor
team
Austin
is not,
Slater. Damn.
not making the playoffs. Bookmark this hashtag. I think I saw John on Twitter say fire Boone. Do you know people were trying to get the hashtag fire Boone underneath all the tweets, like the Jazz Chisholm? I just asked the simple question of how is this possible? Jazz is thrown out at first base on this play, and a whole hashtag just gets started out of it. So. Yeah, that wasn't me. So I hope the Yankees don't think that I'm out here with my picket fence. Yeah, John, thank you. And Scotty Boy 26 with the 5 says, guys, this is much worse than our usual swoons. I don't see any hot streak in this team. Watched Red Sox today and saw professional baseball. Now, the Red Sox are playing August ball. They haven't played good baseball all year. And then they had the 10-game win streak. And then, Jake, we sort of stopped talking about them because after that 10-game win streak, they kind of, we hit the brakes for a second, and we stopped. We just simply stopped. We said, "Oh, okay." They had a little
They might have
shot
lost
in the arm.
Roman for the year. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, no.
How did I miss that?
Not good. Not good.
That's brutal.
No, I just saw it, and I want to bring it up just because I.
When did this happen?
I just got the push notification today. Roman Anthony.
That's brutal.
I know. It's so bad for baseball. You have the number 1 prospect. Where was it? I just saw it. I don't even know where it is now.
Well, I'll catch up on some supers while you catch it. Apex, obviously another mod of ours. Thank you, Apex, of course. And obviously on Twitter, bringing us information. Super helpful with the 2. Says Cashman has to be pissed off at the coaching and Boone. Yeah, you make all these trades. Nothing happens of it. It makes it look like you're not doing your job, which certainly this will be a secret between all of us and the thousands of people who watch this podcast. It is his fault. Okay. Apex again with the 2 says Ben Rice is the only one with guts to tell the truth. What did
I don't
Ben
know
Rice
where
say?
I saw this. I got like a notification from ESPN, and I don't see this anywhere.
See, guys, see what happens when you podcast. When you podcast too long, you just get delusional. No, I believe you. I believe you saw it.
Yeah, it's wild. I'm glad it doesn't look like he's injured. But
okay, great. So never mind. Jake is seeing things literally. So some rest, some rest for Jake after the pod. It's an early pod, so this will work. Mitchell, thank you for the 5, says the fear of failure problem. Either too much pressure of playing in New York City, I don't think it's that, or too little, zero accountability, I think it's that. Jake, what do you think about this idea that maybe New York is just too big for a lot of these guys, or there's just no accountability? Which of the two? Don't listen to what I said. Obviously, you have your own answer.
I feel like the pressure of playing in New York, and I really want to drive this home so people understand where I'm coming from. It's 2025. It's not there like it used to. It's just not. The whole point of the pressure of playing in New York was the media. Who in the media is like a wolf? Is it Joel Sherman? Is it Chris Kirshner? Is it us? I mean, there's no one like. That's the thing is that I
We're
feel
the
like the
boogeyman.
Yankees. Yeah, the Yankees were more commercialized in the '90s, so they'd have like ET, like Entertainment Tonight. They'd be like, "Oh, Jeter, who you dating?" You know what I mean? Like that.
I thought you were talking about ET phone home. I was like, what are you? Where are you going with this?
No, but my point being is that like the media has changed. I don't think people realize this. There's no pressure to play anywhere anymore because the media has changed.
This is valid.
It's not the way it used to be. There are more troubling tweets and internet articles out there than what they're getting question-wise now. Normally, the questions, Gary, the toughest questions that are asked in a correspondence to these tweets. Like, the toughest question Boone's ever been asked was based on what A-Rod and Jeter said. Like, Chris Kirshner asked him what he thought about what A-Rod and Jeter said on the Fox broadcast.
I was actually even going to extend on that. I actually think the toughest questions that Aaron Boone's even seen in the last 5 years is probably, again, a podcast that pays money to talk to him, which is, again, this is business. You invest in something, and now we're going to ask you the questions we think we see fit. Is that if John Boy comes up to him and says, hey, well, what do you think about this? Anthony Volpe's not throwing the ball accurately to first base. Is it a problem? And you would have thought that a ghost had walked across the room. He couldn't believe it, that he was being questioned. This is a manager of the New York Yankees. It's supposed to be the bright lights. And he's shocked that someone's going to bring not criticism, actual statistics, and then have you weigh in on those statistics. He couldn't believe it. Oh, what are you talking about? He's elite. He's accurate.
Yeah.
It's criticism. It's not hard to play in New York. And let me actually use something that my dad has said often. He said this to me plenty of times.
Joey Gallo, he's a great example because he didn't work out in New York and then blamed it on New York. Where did he work out after that?
Absolutely nowhere. Now he's pitching. So here's something, Jake, that my dad has said. And I'm going to actually quote him. Mm-hmm. People have asked him all the time. So, Gary, you played in Atlanta, obviously in 2003. You had a hell of a year. Yeah, well, obviously, he was an MVP candidate, right? He knows that. He goes to New York, mind you, knowing, oh, this is the bright lights. He's wanted to be a Yankee since he was a kid. Is that a surprise to anybody, right? And then he actually did, right? Yankees jerseys in his room, all this. Now, he joins the Yankees. He didn't show up and go, well, let me go hide in the corner. I'm going to be someone different. I just need to make sure I perform because if I don't, these guys are going to have some type of opinion on me and I might find out something new. No, actually what my dad's perspective was on New York, he said playing in New York is not anything. Nothing. Here's why. New York's just going to tell you what you really are. New York, and here's his description, is a mirror. That's what being a Yankee means. They're essentially going to say, if you give us X input, you're going to get this output. If you're a winner in October, we're going to make sure you get all the praise in the world ever possible with us. If you're a failure, we're going to make sure you know exactly how much you failed and to what degree. And we're going to call for your job. That's what playing here is like. You can go play for Texas. You can go play for Arizona. You can go play for Cincinnati. And you can go hide for 4 months. No one's going to give a rat's behind. Why? Because it's not a mirror. It's not this market. But you make a great point. When you talk about where the pressure resides, the only people really criticizing this team are pundits, podcasters, right? We're the only people. No one goes up to them in the media room and say, hey, this is a joke. It's not like they're calling for his job.
The most pressure I've seen playing in New York, like in the modern era, is what Volpe's under right now. And honestly, he started to, it's not as much, but like when he wasn't hitting the home runs and he's getting booed and he's making error after error, it's like that is the most pressure I've seen somebody look like they were under in New York.
All he's got to do is delete his Instagram and not go on Twitter, and that's it. If Anthony Volpe didn't have an Instagram, and he does, if he didn't have a Twitter, what's he dealing with now? Nothing. He's actually dealing with nothing. He's not losing playing time. He's not hardly being pitch hit for, right? That just started happening very recently, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't perceive there was any pressure. Not on Jazz, Volpe. Who's the pressure on? No, it's podcasters that you guys are hearing you're hearing honesty from podcasters. And then the other people are like, there's not that much of a problem. He'll improve. New York media. This New York media is nothing. I'm glad you bring this up. It's no different than Arizona. There are podcasters and pundits in Arizona market, where I am, and they say, this is unacceptable. That right there is unacceptable. That can't happen. You can't forget the outs, right?
Yeah.
And then what is the local media saying when they stick a mic in their face? They say, so what were you thinking on that play? And he goes, well, just can't happen, man. I just got to be better. And no one saw it in Arizona. What?
It's all across the board. Media isn't the same anymore. It has evolved. And a really good example of this is Skip Bayless used to cover the Dallas Mavericks and used to cover the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, he wrote for the Dallas Star. That's right.
Yes. So he wrote for the Dallas Star. He was one of those old school rah, in your face. I'm going to ask you every single thing. I'm going to get every single bit of information. I'm going to ask you the tough questions. You don't want to see me after games. You just lost a tough game in the playoffs. I'm going to grill the shit out of you. I don't care. Those guys transitioned to TV. They're no longer interviewing players. They're no longer in the New York media, the Dallas media, right? The LA market. No, like I saw, what was it? Woody Page, I think, was in the comment section. That's another guy, right? And I'm not hating on these guys at all. But my point is, it's a different level of, it's just a different level. Mike Francesa, people bring him up all the time. He's loud, right? Really loud on the radio. Mike Francesa isn't in the locker room, or he's not in the clubhouse. He's not like Justin Fields in camp right now with the Jets. Mike Francesa isn't breathing down his neck, like telling him, you suck, you have to answer these questions.
Are there any Mike Francescas? Is there a single one of them?
I'm sure people exist, right? But for the most part, I would say that the media has mellowed out. Now, their storytelling is just that, storytelling. They've gotten a lot better over the years, in my opinion. They're actually focused on giving you, because guess what? It's because of people like us. It's because of people like Talking Yanks. It's because of the Pat McAfee show. Now, the media has to be able to just tell the story, be informative, because people are just watching YouTube videos on things now. They're not. And
you know what you're convinced
articles.
of now, Jake? You're now convinced that all podcasters, right? You mentioned Pat McAfee. You've mentioned Talking Yanks. You're now talking about Yankees Unloaded. And there's 6,300 different Yankees podcasts. Yeah. And they're the only avenue where you can hear something essentially you can only hear criticism from them. You're not going to get blatant criticism from the other guys. It can't exist. And if they think it can, show me where it does. It doesn't. There's nobody sitting there with Aaron. Imagine if I had to grab a mic and interview Aaron Boone right now. What do you think I would ask him? I'd say, hey, Aaron, I know you've said that it's unacceptable, like 3 months ago, to make this mistake, but then we're sitting here in August and you made the exact same mistake. So is it the player's problem or is this like a you problem? Would you guys ever hear that? You know what you would hear? Oh, what a condescending question from Gary. I can't believe he would put him on the spot like that. So just know, if that question can't be asked, it's because we've conditioned our media to be one way. And the rest are just, as Jake mentioned, shoved to the outside as a bunch of loudmouth pundits. They are pundits. That's who they are. And so it's a total joke. And what it does is it's just an assassination of what the media is supposed to be. So don't ever get it twisted that the Yankees and playing for the Yankees is that hard. No, it's not. All you have to do is just not listen to the podcast. The rest of it's positive. So yeah, it is.
It's
pretty
disappointing when you're not playing bad. You're not playing well. You're like, oh well, it must be because
Sonny
New
Gray.
York and
Sonny Gray can't play because it's New York. That's why he's not playing well. Has nothing to do with the fact that he and Larry Rothschild are arguing about which pitches he's allowed to throw.
Yeah.
That's the context that we're conveniently forgetting.
The micromanagement of Sonny Gray is why Sonny Gray didn't work out in New York. There's nothing else. It's that simple. You know why?
If I walked around Yankee Stadium and asked fans
afterwards.
Right. If I walked around Yankee Stadium and asked fans, hey, what do you think of Sonny Gray? They'd say, he just couldn't crack it in New York. What about Joey Gallo? Oh, yeah, same thing. He can't crack it in New York. He just never was going to be able to work out here in New York. Oh, well, what about Texas? Oh, it's because it's Texas. That's why he was able to play that type of baseball. That's the perspective that it's unfortunate, but it's part of the damage that we deal with. When you bring people here, you don't know how they're going to deal with playing for the Yankees. It's so ridiculous. It is. We're not the only major market. We're not. So Slim Lewis with the 5. Thank you, Slim. Says, I'm a fan. I believe in this team long term. That's good. I think Volpe has turned the corner, and the Martian and Rice will be good players. We need a better manager. So Slim, I think we do agree that we need a better manager, not a perfect manager. We need to be realistic. These aren't perfect people. These are people. And the Martian does look better. Ben Rice looks better. And Volpe, you say he has turned the corner. I'm going to say he's turning. How about that? Is that fair to say?
I think that's, although I will say that swing at the end of the game, they definitely told him to start hitting home runs.
Yeah. The swing was horrible. 9 people sent me the
swing's
swing.
Gone. So
no, I know.
They're telling him, you see the launch angle. I don't like that. I will say, I know the home runs have helped. I know he's getting back, some of his confidence. But the thing that's going to make Anthony Volpe a really good player, the thing that's going to make me want to keep him at shortstop, assuming that he can turn it around defensively next year, I guess, because, the average of what he's been throughout his career, he's a good shortstop, right?
He has to be
this
hurt.
Year is I still think he was hurt, and I think he's playing on it. And by the way, that's on Boone, that's on the training staff, whatever. But that said, in order for Anthony Volpe to be a good player in this league, hitting 30 home runs is not it. It's going to be, we want you to at least hit 280. Mm-hmm. If you hit 20 home runs, that's nice. You steal 30 bags, that's even better, right? You get on base at a 340 clip, and your OPS is 750. I don't need it to be crazy. That's a good player right there. I'll take that. I don't need your OPS to be 800. I'll need you to slug to the moon and the stars. But I would sacrifice 10 home runs if you're on base at a 340 clip instead of a 319 clip.
Of course. So we would agree. Volpe hasn't turned, because that sentence right there, I'm reading for face value. He's turned the corner. No, turn the corner means we're good now. We've turned the corner
again, man. It's just where'd he go? I thought we had him yesterday.
I know. I'm not really sure what the hell is going on, but obviously, Slim, thank you. No, we think Anthony Volpe is showing momentum towards something decent. And he's been really good the last several weeks, and we've given him full credit for that. The glove still isn't there. Again, we've mentioned maybe physical stuff is playing a part in this, but then Jake brings up, if he's not physically able to play the position, and you guys didn't make a move at shortstop to the point where a player could step in and now fill in that hole that is there defensively, then that's on you guys. It has nothing to do with anybody else. We'll let Anthony Volpe figure out the rest of the year what he's going to be for next year, or if he'll exist at all. And Ninja Hot Dog with the 10, also a member here at Yankees Unloaded. So thank you, Ninja, for doing so. We also have a couple new members, which we'll get to here in a second. And again, guys, if you're not a subscriber at Yankees Unloaded, please make sure you do. We're giving away a Yankees jersey. A Yankees
they are
jersey.
Janky right now. The New York Yankees.
Oh, my God. A Yankees jersey. Fully custom, full quality. Don't even know how much people would want it right now. But when we get to 10,000 subscribers, we're gonna announce that giveaway live on the podcast. And of course, if you guys are with us at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we upload every episode there. Please make sure to give us a 5-star review. Helps us out a ton. Ninja says with the 10, this team is far gone. There's no accountability or common sense. Coaching is trash. We aren't clutch. and it feels that they don't even try. Hal and Cash the most. When was the last time we heard from him? I don't know if I would even want to hear from Hal or Cashman, to be quite honest with you, because, I mean, realistically, Ninja, I mean, again, thank you for the comment, but would you want to hear what Brian Cashman had to say here? Like, even if he said, hey, this is just unacceptable baseball, would you now...
I don't need to hear that at all. I know.
I'd reach through the screen and punch him. I mean, I don't want to hear it at all.
I don't want to hear, but here's the thing. This is why pressers don't move me 1 millimeter. They don't. Okay? They just don't. Like, we know what they're going to say. Boone's going to go, yeah, you know, we thought, you know, Wellesley was going to, you know, we had him. Dude, I don't care. I don't care. I'm sorry. And there are people that would say that makes you a bad podcaster. You should be on top of this. No. You know why? Because we're trying to go live after the games, not listen to that. We'll get the quotes.
Does it make you feel better if Boone says... Boone today actually said, and you told me this,
Boone
Jake,
took accountability.
You said, Boone said, this is unacceptable, and there's nothing I can say. The only thing we can do is turn it around. No one's ever going to believe a word we're saying until we do so. It's exactly what he said. And it's the opinion that our audience has. Our audience says, we don't care what you say. We care what you do. And that's what he said. And yet, none of us feel any better. So in reality, they may as well just, and if they lose, just go ahead and fire up the showers and go the hell home. We don't even want to hear from you. We really don't. So Rich Squires, who's been a member for 11 months, thank you, Rich. I greatly appreciate it. It says, embarrassing and completely unwatchable. Get ready for the second playoff list in this decade. We sure hope not, because, I mean, it's not good for anybody. It's not good for any podcast. No. It's not good for our audience if it just goes away. Now, mind you, there are a lot of people, Jake, and we don't have to really expand on this, but there are a lot of people who think if we miss the playoffs, maybe that's the way of Aaron Boone essentially dying on the sword. And I don't agree with you guys. I really don't. I think if the Yankees...
He absolutely could be fired, but I would not be rooting against your team in hopes that manager gets fired so you can just hire another MIT student.
You should do exactly... Well, I mean, if you think about it, the Yankees didn't renew the vows with Girardi, and we didn't lose to get to that process. We lost in the championship series to Houston. Sayonara, and then in hindsight, we end up finding out that Houston was cheating, right? And then no one could even debate that. They were cheating. And you could easily argue, oh, the Yankees probably should have made it to the World Series that year. Okay. Yeah. They got rid of their manager. And then in hindsight, Cashman says, he grabs a mic, oh, yeah, we knew we were the best team in 2017. They were cheating. Well, then why'd you get rid of your manager, right? So what we're getting at here, it's despicable. It's shouldn't root for the team, like root against the team so something else can happen. Just root for someone to get fired, someone to be held accountable, more importantly, right? Let's just root for that. We'll root for them to win. And James with a 5.
Enjoy. I don't know.
I know. We're trying. And James with a 5 says Boone should demand excellence from his players. Unfortunately, it's the opposite as he finds excuses for their dumb play. So, James, I agree with the overall thought that you need to be demanding a certain way about your business. You have to have a certain baseline for all of these players. But here's how I'll kind of adjust what you've said. I think you cannot allow the players to just say, let me go out there. I'm going to tell them what they've got to do. And then they're going to do it. You need to show them. You need to show them. If you're not ready, don't worry about the post-game presser. You can shove that right up your behind. Shove it up your tailpipe. Don't care what you say. You're not playing tomorrow. Oh. Okay. He's not going to say, you think what, Jazz Chisholm's going to, what, hop on Twitter? Or he's going to step up to Aaron Boone if he wasn't playing today? He would have said nothing. Because Aaron Boone is showing him, if you don't know what you're doing out on the field, you can't play for us. And then guess what? Jazz Chisholm is highly unlikely to make the same mistake the rest of the year because you've shown him something. So I think, James, this makes a lot of sense if you're just starting out with the team. Hey, guys, I demand excellence. Now let's see how it goes. But once you show me something below that, it's kind of like when you have kids. They can sit there and whine and whine and whine, but unless you prove to them, I'm going to prove to you that what you're doing is not going to work out in your favor, they'll learn then. And so, yeah, James, I agree with you. We need to demand excellence. So far, it hasn't been demanded. Jake, what do you think about this concept?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think we've really kind of felt this way for a while, and yeah, it feels like there's something definitely missing there. Again, I'm not really high on any of the managers in this league. I don't think that they're like elite managers. I don't think that there's a Bill Belichick in baseball. I don't think
you
that
said
there's
Mattingly,
a Sean
right?
McVay.
Is that your choice?
Mattingly or Showalter or Girardi.
Showalter.
Honestly, any of those three. I think Posada could do it as a first year. I think he's intelligent. He could do it. I know A-Rod could do it. I'm not sure that they would hire him, but he could. Jeter, I always saw as more of a GM. I didn't see him as a manager, so to speak. I'm not saying he can't manage, but I feel like his experience in the front office with the Marlins, that is where I would have him. And then AJ Pierzynski is another one that I would like as a manager. So those are that's my short list. And
also podcasting.
Yeah, also podcasting. But that's how it works, Gary. You can't just be like, I want him fired. All right, who do you want? Who's going to replace him? You can't just sit there and be like, no, I just want him gone. I don't even care. Players can coach themselves. It doesn't work that way.
Well, it seems like the NHL does it, which sometimes it's not the best thing, right? But it's something. It's setting the precedent that if you don't do the job, we may not have a solution, but we know you're not the solution.
John Rocker for manager. Oh, my God. Willie Randolph would be another good one. I like him.
Okay.
Oh, Paul O'Neill would be a good hitting coach. I don't know if I'd want him as my manager. I mean, he could manage, but I think Paul O'Neill every single time during the broadcast is always bringing up something that's wrong with somebody's swing, and no one cares to actually look into. Oh yeah,
we just let him blot the lines. We just let him blot the lines.
He's like,
hey, Volpe, did you notice in his swing? I mean, he is just stepping in the bucket, and we're just like, wait, hold on a second. The player that you sold us was our top prospect on the microphone in front of hundreds of thousands watching daily, millions on replay. And we're just blatantly saying how bad. Oh, look at that. He's stepping. His foot is he's almost rolling his ankle.
He's coaching from the announcer box. And there has to be Yankee fans that are tagging the Yankee social media because they don't even know what to do at this point.
Yeah, trust me, I'm full aboard of that. Miguel with the 5. We need to catch up on some of these supers because you guys have been awesome. You guys have been really good this month, so thank you. It is greatly appreciated. Miguel with the 5 says, hello, fellas. Love your podcast. The best one I listen to. My question, and thank you for that, is when do the Yankees always fall in a slump? Essentially, why do the Yankees always fall in a slump around the same time every season? Thanks, guys. So I would imagine here's what I think is happening. If I had to give you my honest answer, short and sweet, the Yankees start off the season hot every single year because most teams, for the most part, mentally, you're locked in. You're excited to play. You want to find out, is Goldschmidt going to have anything left? What's Judge going to do to kind of rebuttal to what happened in the World Series? Boone has a lot to prove. The Yankees have a lot to prove. They come out all firing, right? Then you get to the middle of the year. You really find out in the middle of the year when you get content, you're essentially content, and now who you really are is going to surface. That's what I think. I think when the Yankees are themselves and they kind of forget about all the hype and all the narratives, they get back to who they are. And I think that doesn't happen until June and July. That Boone swoon that you guys hear about, I just think it's a lack of mental execution. I think it's a lack of really, what would you call it, Jake? It's just not being laser focused. And focus over 162 isn't going to be there the entire time, especially with managers who aren't great. So that's my answer to you. Absolutely. Actually, go ahead.
3, but one of them's connected.
Yeah, let all of them go.
So, all right. So August 3rd today is the date. The Yankees at this point last year had 6 more wins. Which is funny because the Yankees should probably have at least 6 more wins. Think about the blown saves that Devin Williams had, and then just recently blowing some games late in the game. They should easily have. So they should be exactly where they were last year. That's where they should be. They're not. They also, in the second half of the year last year, They went 35-18 to finish off the year. Currently, right, they're 7-8 in the second half.
So we're not getting that 35-18. I think it's safe to say.
Yes. So now it's a different team than last year. Last year, it felt like, the gas was back. Like you had some juice. They still had to win games kind of ugly, right? But they won those games. This year, right now, it's like, well, obviously getting swept by Miami kind of, it pushes that into that. But no, a friend of mine, his son is in the NFL. I talked to him a decent amount. His name is Lucky Witherspoon. You could see the Witherspoon jersey. And he's a Yankee fan. And we were talking the other day, and I thought he made a really good point. He said he wasn't worried about the Boone swoon or whatever. He said, do you notice it seems like every year, and sure enough, the Dodgers started getting into a rut. Every year, those big teams, they take it like it's the NBA. They know this is not when you're going to win a World Series. You're not going to win in June, July. And it's almost like they kind of take a beat, and then in August, September is when it's like LeBron James, right? Oh, the load management's out the door now. Now it's like late in the season. You have to play for seeding and all of that.
We're going to flip
like
the switch.
You have to get up. And I agree with him. I feel like I've seen that across baseball. And isn't that interesting, to prove his point, that the Marlins are one of the hottest teams in baseball right now? Because why would the Marlins have that? They wouldn't have that mindset. They weren't just in the World Series. The Dodgers, surprisingly, have been disappointing this year. They had a bad deadline. They've been disappointing. They're still fine, but they're not what we expected. And they're still dealing with injuries. And even when they're not dealing with injuries, I see Dodgers fans all the time complaining about this, and this. So I actually kind of see what the point he was making. And that, I think, to me is one of those. I'm not okay with that, by the way. I'm not. I don't care that you play 162 games. I'm not a fan of turning off the switch ever. But I also get these are human beings. And sometimes you do things without even realizing it. And I do feel like there's some of that there. The Houston Astros are 2-8 their last 10, right? So there are teams right now that are struggling. The Blue Jays, they're starting to struggle, right? The Brewers, they're one of those teams. They're there every year. And yet, that's not a team that is, laying off the gas pedal, right? So it is interesting. I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all, but it might explain why the Red Sox now are ahead of the Yankees. Might explain why they got off to a 10-game win streak. Then they hit the worst time ever. For the Red Sox to ever hit the second half of the year, hit the All-Star break, because when you're that hot, you just want to keep playing. They come back. They had some losses. Now they're 8-2 in their last 10. It's like you look at those teams. You look at the Miami Marlins, who are 8-2 of their last 10. You look at the Padres, right? And it is interesting. I just think for the Yankees right now, okay, if that is true, right, and they did just lay off the gas pedal a little bit, which is still I'm not a fan of. Well, it's time to step back on that gas pedal. You got Texas this week. You got Houston. Oh, Houston's playing bad baseball. Well, that's good because you're going to have to surpass Houston. Houston is very well going to either win that division or they're going to be looking at the wild card. So they're in your way. That's how I would look at it. So from here on out, you got to step back on that gas pedal. You are getting Judge back Tuesday. I'm not saying that changes them tremendously. I do think Judge being in the lineup should add some life. But yeah, Gary, I do think there's something real. Whether I agree with their to be or not doesn't matter. I think there's something to be said. What Lucky was saying about how these teams tend to just kind of chill out in June, July, and then August, September rolls along, and now all of a sudden they're like ramping it up to get to October.
Yeah, I think the concept makes sense. It doesn't apply to us. And I'll tell you why. The Yankees, you can't play bad baseball. Mind you, you mentioned some teams, right? And we'll go back to them. The Dodgers, the Padres, right? The Dodgers and Padres were the two best teams last year in Major League Baseball. Those two teams. They ran into each other, and you're saying, okay, they didn't play in June and July. They didn't play horrible baseball. They maybe didn't rip the cover off the ball. Maybe they didn't separate themselves as the best team in baseball. That certainly can happen, and that's where I think this comment actually has some merit. You're not just going to be the best team every single month. That's just not how human beings work. That's not how human nature works. No. I think the concept of we got to get off to a hot start, we need to set the tone, we're going to do that. Middle of the year, it's 162. We'll kind of sleepwalk, but hopefully our championship pedigree, right, is going to kind of get us through. We'll play maybe slightly above 500 ball, keep us afloat, and then in the final months of the year, we're going to turn on the gas pedal, and we're going to outrun these teams. Well, I think it's safe to say now the Yankees cannot outrun anybody in this division. At best, they're narrowly going to catch Toronto. And I actually don't think that's going to happen. I think it's more, I have a higher chance of Toronto winning this division or Boston than us. One of those two teams. We can do it, but the likelihood is not high. The reason for that is because the Yankees' floor has gone on too long. It is extended past a 1-9, 10-game stretch. Detroit, when we talked about Detroit didn't have a slow 2 months. Detroit went on a 2-13 stretch. A 2-week stretch where they couldn't win a game. That's what happened. So Detroit essentially was, they'd argue, we were the best team in baseball. March, April, May, June. And then all of a sudden, as we get into July, Detroit fell off a cliff. Off a cliff. But they can still turn around and say, oh, maybe we got complacent, and they could be good again in September. I expect it to happen, actually. And the reason I can have expectations of that, Jake, is because of what they were majority of the season. The Yankees don't have that. They just don't. The Yankees have played a lot of bad baseball, and it just seems like they're a team that beats up on the bad, and when they play the good teams that you really care about, they just don't show up. So it's unfortunate. People said, and I saw it in our comments, and I want to give them their due. They said, hold on a second. The Marlins are playing some pretty good ball. They're right, and we agree. But the Yankees, if they say they're going to go somewhere and win a World Series, you got to beat teams that are playing good baseball. It's that simple. If the Marlins are playing good ball, you need to play better. I think that's safe to say, especially with how much money you're spending and how much money they're not spending. So Jeff J says Jennifer Swindle and her husband were supposed to run the team. We never saw Hal and Hank at Old Timers in the 80s and 90s. Divorce, death led to Hal. Yeah, the ball definitely bounced Hal's way. And I don't like to really beat up on Hal because, first and foremost, I will criticize what he's done because I think he is a major staple for the direction of this team. I liked what he did in the offseason, offering Juan Soto a healthy check. But like I said, you didn't spend a dime if you don't get the player. It's just as simple as that. You offer $775, he takes $800, you didn't get him. So you turn around and you're still keeping your GM, you're still keeping your manager, you just want a pennant. And they were selling us the concept that we're gonna build off of that. We're gonna improve off of that, despite losing Soto. And you found out, it seems like the Yankees actually get carried by star talent. They may have top-heavy talent. They're going to carry and pull the rope, but the unit is not strong. That's really what the takeaway is across baseball. You literally have the Dodgers saying, just put the ball in play. The Yankees will blow it themselves. That tells you what people think about this organization. So, yeah, Jeff, again, I don't like piling on Hal, but he deserves a ton of criticism, and I think he knows that. So, obviously disappointing.
Agree.
Yeah, he deserves it. And Luis, thank you for the super, who I believe also became a member. Yeah, there you have it. Luis48, I see him on Twitter. He's awesome. So, guys, give him a follow, of course, if you can find him on there. Thank you, Luis, for the two.
Now.
He is in the Discord, so welcome aboard. I saw Jake drop the Discord link in the comment section, so make sure you guys get a chance to see that if you haven't joined already. And, of course, becoming a subscriber to Yankees Unloaded. And there you have it. Luis became a Yankees Unloaded member. So, Luis, welcome aboard. And baby Winnie the Pooh, God, these names are just wild to me. Thank you for the 5. The Mariners won, so we're only a half game up in the wild card.
Yeah, well,
Interesting.
that's where it comes back to the
boy.
Astros. I think the Mariners winning that division. I don't care what the Astros did. I know what's his face homer today, Carlos Correa. Carlos Correa is a big name, but he shouldn't be a big name for anything he's done recently. Okay, the Mariners already had the best pitching or one of the best rotations in baseball. We've always, every year we're talking about, the Mariners need a bat. So last year they go out and get Randy Arozarena. Well, this year, now Cal Raleigh, who's always hitting home runs, now he's hitting them at a ridiculous pace. He's incredibly dangerous. Could win the MVP now. And you just added Eugenio Suarez. So, like, say what you will about his defense, but now you have the offensive, prowess that you didn't have in the past, and you have a bullpen, and you have a starting rotation. Seattle's a dangerous team. Jerry DiPoto went out of his way and was like, we're going to go and we're going to get Eugenio Suarez. We're going to go and we're going to improve our team.
We've been waiting on Seattle, essentially. And mind you, we're not Seattle fans. But
Yeah.
I think everyone who's a baseball fan, you're a Yankees fan, Red Sox fan, whoever, and we're sitting there saying, well, they've put it together. They've been saying they have a surplus in their rotation, right? Big time arms. They can bring arms out the pen. Okay, great. Well, can you score? And they're just sort of looking at some rookie and say, hey, can J-Rod carry us to the promised land? I'm like, guys, you need a great team. You need to be able to score.
Absolutely.
They had a big time deadline. And again, you bring in rental, like Suarez is a rental. And they didn't give up hardly anything to get him. So I don't know. I think you can look at a lot of these teams and say, do they have a better chance than the Yankees to win the World Series? Yeah. Yes, they do. There are probably 6 or 7 teams that I would name have a better chance to win the World Series, and that's a lot. I know it sounds like...
They also got Naylor. I forgot to mention that.
And Naylor was a good pickup. I know you didn't want him in New York.
No,
I actually did.
He's a good pickup for them, though.
You didn't like the antics, which is understandable.
Yeah, I mean, but he's a good pickup for them for sure. They have him. They have Suarez. You have Cal Raleigh.
Yes.
That's a really good tandem. And Naylor has a lot of experience in the playoffs. He's had a lot of, performances there. Suarez is a guy that's already played in Seattle. He knows what's expected of him. That's a team. If I had to pick a sleeper team to win it all, it is the Seattle Mariners.
Okay. Seattle Mariners. All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with that. There are a lot of sleeper teams, and the Yankees right now, we're in Cinderella territory. If we won the World Series this year, it's Cinderella story. They played bad baseball all year. Remember how stupid they were in March, April, May, June, July, all those months, and then they just somehow, some way flipped the switch. It would be a complete flip of the switch. A shocking development. Technically possible, right? We've seen crazier things, right? We've seen it. But to say that this Yankees team is going to win the World Series, I feel very confident about this group. Something miraculous would have to happen, and we're just not sure what that miraculous thing would be. And Chad Pritchett, thank you for the 5, says team plays like Roger Dorn in the beginning of Major League. Yeah, I can see it. And Jimmy with the 5 says, I was a big Wells guy. Obviously, Jake was as well, and rightfully so. He had some things to actually back analytically. Also, eye test-wise, he's hitting the ball hard. His approach, which Jake loved his approach, which was, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to find my way on base, and if they make a mistake, then I'll drive the ball. But then you just asked me, Jake, just a couple days ago, actually, does it seem like Austin Wells is just simply trying to swing for the fences? And I answered very simply, yeah, he definitely is. And I said, I think that's his basic approach. I think that's what he's going for. And it seems that way. But Jimmy says he has regressed, cannot keep running him out there. I think we would agree Ben Rice should just catch for this team. We're far enough behind in the standings. You got to put the best 9 out there. Jake, what did you think? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And when it comes to Ben Rice, you should be in the lineup every day. I think really the question is, would you rather have Austin Wells or Paul Goldschmidt? And if you answer Austin Wells, then you play him at catcher and you have Ben Rice every day at first. And if you want Paul Goldschmidt there, then you have him at first and Ben Rice at catcher. I mean, it shouldn't be Ben Rice doesn't play. He should play every day. He's one of the best hitters on the team. I don't care what his stats look like. I mean, he's honestly got, and I mean, for real, this guy has the worst luck I've ever seen for a hitter, ever. He hits everything hard.
He flies out to the wall a lot. A lot.
Yes.
It's probably happened 10 times on the year, which doesn't sound like a lot. But The dude will go to Boston, hit a ball 430 feet, it feels like, to right center field, and it's caught. Which, again, my point at the time when we were kind of really down the rabbit hole of Ben Rice was that your job's not to hit the ball hard, and that's true. It's not about expected stats. It's not about how can analytics craft a story that you're playing better than what you are. But you would assume a player who hits the ball as hard, as often as Ben Rice does, he'd be more successful with his numbers. And I think that's what the Yankees are hanging their hats on. They think that Ben Rice striking the ball as hard as he is, as much as he is, this is just going to turn around. And I would actually subscribe to that. That's the one thing I would agree with. So Patrick, thank you for the 5, says, I've noticed that players the Yanks brought up, example, Glaber and Volpe, say at first, I'm not a home run hitter, then something changes. So obviously Glaber Torres hit 37 home runs in that series, in that season where I think he hit 16 home runs against Baltimore. Now Baltimore wasn't even trying. Oh my God,
that was...
Who was on
the call for that? I forget who. The awesome announcer for the Orioles. And he just like, goodbye, home run. Like,
right. And you know what's funny about it? And mind you, I don't want to make it seem like it's just easy to do it because it's not easy to hit a bunch of home runs, even against Colorado, whoever it is. It's still major league pitching, to some degree. But Glaber Torres hit almost half of his home runs against one team. So he became a home run hitter. We were almost chasing home run hitter. Then eventually at the end of Glaber Torres' career with the Yankees, suddenly, Jake, you brought it up. Oh, look at his on-base percentage. In the second half after the benching, it's 400. He became a little bit more of a line drive guy. I'm going to do less because Juan Soto's here, because Aaron Judge is here, right? I'm going to do less. Maybe my job is something different. But you look at Glaber overall, you look at Volpe overall, to Patrick's point, they have become home run hitters. A-Rod's not getting on the mic saying, why is Volpe going for 30 seasons? He's not a home run guy. But then, since then, he's hit the second most home runs in Major League Baseball since the break, other than Kyle Schwarber. So you don't do that unless you're committing to the power game. I'm not telling him, just stop it now because we'll take the home runs. But long term, is that who Volpe can be? Is that who he should be? Interesting point by Patrick.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. It's actually a player we didn't really talk about today. He actually went yard, Trent Grisham. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where's Trent Grisham on your list for players on this team? Because, right now, he's got to be one of the best players on the team. He has a 357 on base. He has an OPS in the 830s. The hell would they be without him right now? Good Lord.
Well, I'll tell you this. Here's how high I am on Trent Grisham. And I'm not telling you guys he should stay on the team post-2025. I'm not even talking roster construction. I'm talking about if we had a postseason series tomorrow, if I had to make a choice, if I don't have any room, let's just say Judge is playing right field, right? Let's just say Cody Bellinger's playing center field.
Yeah.
Who do I put in left field? I put Trent Grisham out there. That's my answer to you. That's how good a baseball he's playing on both sides. It's not just the bat. Because Jason Dominguez is showing some real flashes offensively. I like what he's doing. But the overall player of what Trent Grisham is, he can throw to bases. He's going to make the smarter plays, right? He is going to be trying to take liftoff, but he's also going to be trying to draw walks, right? Have a quality approach. So Trent Grisham is showing a lot to this Yankees team, and I don't expect him to be back next year. I'm happy for him. I am. But it just, roster construction-wise, Spencer Jones coming next year, it'll be cheaper for the Yankees to just go Spencer Jones, Jason Dominguez, and just hope that Dominguez improves defensively and then Jones can replace somewhat of what you lost with Trent Grisham. At least he should if he's untouchable.
Yeah, it's so funny looking at these numbers because I saw a tweet earlier, I think it was yesterday. It was like, why is no one... Like, we're giving Boone credit now for playing Trent Grisham, but we're not giving him shit for not playing him last year over Alex Verdungo. I saw that tweet, and I just...
Someone said Verdungo? Yeah. You got to find the tweet. We got to give these people credit.
I know, but the problem is, right, you find the tweet. I tell you this all the time. Twitter sucks. So you find something that's great, and then it'll refresh, and it's gone forever. You'll never see it again. It's in the black hole.
It's a shame.
It's such a shame. But I I get the point of that tweet though. Like, you had this, and I'm not saying Grisham would be this last year, but would he have been better if he played every day and had more than 179 at bats? Yeah, I would assume. Yeah, he probably would have been a lot better. So, yeah, another one. Boone's the dust.
Yeah, and Ben Zaretsky with the 5 says, Red Sox fan, but also fan of your show. It's amazing how we have so many fans that are just not even fans of the Yankees. Maybe we'll evangelize them. Who knows? Don't think it's fair to call the Sox bad. Jake, do you remember me calling the Red Sox bad?
I was confused by this one. Appreciate Ben, of course. I don't know which of us were saying they were bad. If anything, Gary and I had said all year the Red Sox were the scariest team in the AL East.
Who did we say was... Well, actually, I shouldn't speak for you. Who did I say was going to win the division?
You said the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is interesting, right? I mean, and I would assume, right, to be fair to Ben, he wasn't here for that show. This was at the beginning of the year. This is before we saw what Crochet was going to do. This is what we were going to see with, obviously, their young talent in the outfield, their bullpen. We didn't know Dustin May was going to be their only pickup at the deadline. None of this context was provided. None of it. Not for any team. Not Fried. Nothing. Yet, I chose Boston to win this division. I thought some of the Yankees pickups, Bellinger, Goldschmidt, somewhat. Fried, I thought would be good, not great, and he's been overall great. And I thought Boston was going to win this division. So, yeah, this idea that I think Boston is bad, no, I don't. I root for them to be bad because there's a rivalry here. This is Red Sox Yankees. I can't root for you guys. But if somebody sticks a mic in my face or I hop on Fox Radio and someone says, hey, at the beginning of the year, who do you think can win? I'm going to tell you my honest answer, and my honest answer was Boston. And they played horrible baseball, and I covered it when they were. And says it's flawed but good team. We completely agree. When record was bad, they had many one-run losses. Yeah, and so did we, right?
Yeah.
So did we. Devin Williams has blown a lot of games.
Boston's terrifying because they'll have any tiebreaker over the Yankees. The Yankees aren't winning that season.
That's
series.
right.
So,
yeah. And Brian, obviously Hall of Fame super chatter, of course. Thank you for the 5 and member of Yankees Unloaded. Says Girardi should have never been fired. Jake did bring up he wasn't fired. He was somewhat dismissed, but Brian kind of knows that, I'm sure. His team has never made these mistakes. A Boone managed team never plays inspired baseball. They never show up. No, I think a lot of what Girardi would do was that he would just play somebody. You're like, I wouldn't play that guy in that position, and then that player screws up the game. It's more of I feel like we're making a mistake, and you can watch it in real time. Whereas with Aaron Boone's team, you don't know how they're going to screw up the day. They just surprise you. It's like a chocolate at See's Candy. They just sort of hand you the sample. You bite into it. You're like, oh, shit, is that strawberry jam in there? They're like, yeah, it is. I'm like, that's awful.
Yes, Gary. It is awful.
That's Yankees baseball. You're going to chew a chocolate and you don't have any clue what's in the middle of it. You just know this one's probably bad. That's why it's a sample.
Yeah. If they sample chocolate that has any sort of jelly in it, any sort of fruit in it, jail. Right to jail.
Or they tell you there's going to be some peanut butter in there. If it's not a peanut butter cup, it's awful. It's not good. And so this is
not
sort
as bad
of what
as the
you
jelly,
learn.
Though. You're
right.
Cooked. If it's jelly, it just, and it doesn't go, yeah.
So it's a
awful.
surprise. Girardi, you mentioned Girardi's not a perfect manager. I agreed with you. But more predictable. You didn't like how he was using the bullpen, right? You didn't like it. But also, he's not going to be perfect. You turn around and say, I can see what we're doing wrong here. This isn't fundamentals. This is just X's and O's and pulling strings. Easier to fix. Maybe if a guy misuses a bullpen, maybe you just need a super bullpen. Maybe that's the solution. We've given Aaron Boone a super bullpen before. It still didn't work. Still did not work. He's the one with the super bullpen. So I just want people to remember some history there, of course. And Baby Winnie the Pooh with a 2 says, if Boone is fired, who's next? Jake says, did you say Showalter was one of your answers, and then Mattingly was the other?
I'm not predicting, but who I would go after would be Showalter, Mattingly, in any order. I don't care. Right. Showalter, Mattingly, Girardi, Pierzynski, and Posada. I think those are the 5 best ones. Well, I'd also say A-Rod, but I know they wouldn't hire him. So,
okay,
maybe they would. Who knows? I don't know.
I'm gonna go. Nah. honestly, I'm going to have to, I think this is fair to say. I don't have to just like throw an answer out. I like a lot of your answers. I do. Because it's more of an old school approach. They need to be somewhat open to data, right? Somewhat open to data. Can't rely on it. You can't, what does the data say? And then I'll make a decision. No. Show me the data, put it on my desk. I'm going to make the decisions, and then I'll take a last look at the data. If something is just overhanging that data can help me see, I'll maybe adjust or tweak a decision I make. But the obvious data has to suggest that. The obvious data. And some of that data could just be simply, hey, Ben Rice destroys righties. Doesn't really hit lefties that well. Paul Goldschmidt doesn't hit righties at all, but he destroys lefties. Oh, okay, so when we face a righty, Ben Rice should play in first base. Voila. That's analytics. Now, it's not analytics to the point of where it's the A's, where you're just simply creating a lineup out of an algorithm, but someone that they hire at least has to have an understanding of analytics. They have to get it, but you need to make the lineups. You need to have an everyday lineup that's consistent. And
I think I'd go with Mattingly. Like,
cool.
Full final
I'm
answer.
cool with that.
Because he should have been the manager over Aaron Boone. That's who I wanted. He should have.
I'll go Derek Jeter.
Really?
There you have it.
That's interesting.
I'll go Derek Jeter.
I would go Derek Jeter for general manager.
Okay.
I'd go Mattingly. I mean, hitting coach would be no-brainer, Paul O'Neill. Dude's a hitting coach in the booth. Just all you have to do is literally replay his coverage and have a meeting about it, and he's already given you tips on how to do your job, James Rousen.
I'm not sure, though, if Jeter would want the job, and I'm not telling you, I'm not going to speak for him, but you also have to remember, Magic Johnson became, right, he was the president of the Lakers. And up until that point, Magic Johnson had a perfect image in LA. Everyone thought he could do no wrong. This is great. He shows up, and all of a sudden, he literally quit without even telling his boss.
I'm not going to be here.
He did a press conference. Do you know how unprofessional that is? It's ridiculous to do that. They found out on the radio on the drive over to Staples Center. It was Staples at the time. They
should still be Staples, but yeah.
It should still be Staples. But you guys get the point. If Derek Jeter takes GM, or he takes, let's just say, the managerial job in New York, well, there's certainly ways it can work out. Derek Jeter's a smart guy. He knows the ins and outs. He knows that there was a core four. He gets the concept that you need to develop still. He understands the old school mentality, but he also was with the Marlins, with a GM who he hired and the president who he hired underneath him. Super analytical. So he knows both sides. This could be a really good fit for the Yankees. The issue is what happens if all of a sudden it just, for some reason, wasn't working with Derek? Then what? Right? Because then you'd have people saying, oh, Derek was a great player, but he's the dumbest. It would turn into the Michael Jordan situation with the Hornets. And what did Michael do? I'm going to sell this thing. Because Michael Jordan was starting to be looked at like he didn't know basketball, when that's ridiculous. Of course he did. He just wasn't a good owner.
Yeah.
He didn't know the X's and O's like that. So, yeah, I can't see Jeter accepting the job, but I can see him being good at the job.
Like that. Yeah, I mean, I think Mattingly was always done wrong. They didn't spend like they do now with the Dodgers back when he was there.
Right.
And then I don't think people give him enough credit. I mean, they say, oh, he's a failed manager. He won manager of the year. He took I don't care if it was a shortened season. He took the freaking Marlins to their last playoff series. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, Jazz said good things about him. I think Mattingly with Jeter as GM, not even saying you have to fire Cashman right now. He hasn't done anything recently for me to be like, fire him. But if I was in charge, Mattingly as the manager, Jeter as the general manager, bench coach. I see Shelley Duncan in the comments. I'd probably go with AAA manager Shelley Duncan as the bench coach. Give him kind of a promotion. Pitching coach Matt Blake. I'd pray that Matt Blake never leaves, honestly. And then hitting coach is Paul O'Neill.
Did you mention who the third base coach would be? Because it's not going to be Rojas.
Oh, it'd be A-Rod. I'll have A-Rod do it. No. I'm just kidding. A-Rod, I'd actually want to be on the coaching staff, but I'm trying to be somewhat realistic. I feel like these are realistic options. I don't care who's at third base. It could be your dad, my dad, it could be Lauren, your mom. Like, I don't care who's at third base. Just, I don't want Rojas there. And first base, I have no issue with Travis Chapman. I have no issue.
We'd be hard pressed to find somebody, Chapman did just get chewed out yesterday from the mistake that he made by not telling Jazz Chisholm he should be standing at first base. Pretty amazing that was the takeaway.
Pretty unbelievable.
Let's tee up tomorrow's game.
We've never once chewed out Travis Chapman on here. We've only talked about Rojas, and that's the guy that gets chewed out. They play tomorrow against Texas. It is Max Fried on the hill against Patrick Corbin. So weird because Patrick Corbin was like, they were begging somebody to take on his deal, and now he's actually pitching well.
Which I'm happy for him because, it's not fun to finish out your career like that.
No, it's been a lot. So Patrick Corbin against Max Fried, 8:05 tomorrow, guys. Keep that in mind, 8:05. So not a 7 o'clock game. But the Yankees did face Patrick Corbin earlier in the year. They put 3 on him. They won the game 5-2. That was at Yankee Stadium. And, man, times were a lot different then. Texas was borderline 500. Horrendous on the road, and the Yankees.
You see Ben Rice's numbers against Patrick Corbin. It's not a big sample size, but that is a 1-for-1 with a homer.
That's crazy. Yeah, he hit a home run in that game, and Judge hit a home run in that game. But Judge will not face him because he'll be back. That was the game Will Warren came out of nowhere because we always knew he had good stuff, and he struck out 10 guys in 5 2/3. So
yeah, Texas doesn't have a ton of experience against Fried. They just don't, right? Obviously, he played for the Braves for a while. Not a ton of experience. If you took a look at this game in a vacuum, you didn't know the context of how we were playing coming into it, this should be a win for the Yankees. The Yankees have a lot of guys who destroy lefties. Cody Bellinger, reverse splits, hits over 400 against Corbin, right? You have someone like Caballero who also has success. Jazz Chisholm has success. Paul Goldschmidt destroys lefties, period. It's the only people he's hitting this year are his left-handed arms, right? Ben Rice has had success. Right. Yeah, Ben Rice should be at catcher. Yes, it should be Ben Rice catching, Paul Goldschmidt at first base, and you sort of move the lefties who don't have those reverse splits like a Rice down to maybe the 6 or 7 spot in the lineup. The lineup should be easy to create tomorrow. It just should be.
Jason Dominguez will not be in the lineup.
Right. So this is simple.
Yeah, it'll be Bellinger at right field, Grisham in center, and left field I think will be Caballero.
Perfect. So you guys have already heard the lineup. That's what maybe an older school mentality. They'd say, who does this well? Okay, well, we're going to have you in that spot. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Jake, any final words?
You might see Caballero at third and maybe Slater in the outfield, maybe even Rosario.
Probably yes.
But I don't think they want Rosario, defense.
And Volpe hits lefties as well. Volpe's hitting better of late. He does hit lefties. That's the thing that Anthony Volpe does do. He is 0 for 6 against
McMahon is coming off 4 strikeouts today, and he doesn't hit lefties well. So this would be the time, if you're going to give McMahon a day, this would be the time to do it.
Okay. So what do you want him to drop in the comments? Obviously, guys, if you're not subscribed here to Yankees Unloaded, please be sure to do for our giveaway at 10,000 subscribers, which will be announced live on the podcast. We'll be there in about 25 days or so, obviously barring essentially if we just have an explosion on a video. But based on our pace, 3 weeks from now, we're going to be giving away a jersey, and we can't wait to do it. Yeah, Jake, anything in the comments?
Yes. How about just all caps subscribe? It'll help us out.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Drop subscribe in the comments. Subscribe. That'd probably be the most important thing. And, of course, like this video.